I want to go to our next story. This is a man that was certainly, man, so sad there. And that is this here. Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division. They've been extremely active in pursuing and convicting offendees who have committed hate crimes all across the country. Under the leadership of Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clarke. Folks, here's some of the recent victories. When I say recent, I'm talking about just this week. In Oklahoma, a federal jury convicted a former Kay County, Oklahoma supervisory corrections officer for violating the civil rights of 3 pretrial detainees held at the Kay County Detention Center. In Alabama, a former Alabama Department of Corrections sergeant was sentenced to 30 months of imprisonment in federal court for his act, pleading guilty to assaulting 2 inmates at the ADOC correctional facility. In Tennessee, a former supervisory corrections officer pleaded guilty to 2 civil rights offenses. Of course, charged with 1 count of deprivation of rights under the color of law for using unlawful force on an inmate, 1 count of being deliberately indifferent to the inmate's medical needs. In Washington State, a man pleaded guilty to hate crimes and false statement charges. He pleaded guilty to one crime of committing a hate crime for his participation in the assault of a black man based on his race. In Kentucky, a former captain with the Madison County Detention Center pleaded guilty to using unreasonable force against a detainee. In Illinois, 2 men were sentenced to 190 months and 170 months in prison, respectively, for their roles in the 2017 bombing of an Islamic center in Bloomington, Minnesota. In South Carolina, the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of South Carolina filed a complaint and settlement agreement with the South Carolina Department of Juvenile Justice to resolve its Broad River Road Complex investigation in Columbia, South Carolina. In Massachusetts, the Department of Justice's Civil Rights Division and the U.S. Office of the District of Massachusetts filed a complaint and a proposed consent decree with the City of Springfield, Massachusetts, to resolve its investigation of the Springfield Police Department's Narcotics Bureau. Now, one of the things that's interesting in one of those cases, one of the jail's officials actually put black inmates in the same cell with white supremacists, leading to a vicious beating of the black inmate. You look at a number of those cases, they dealt with prisons and corrections departments. I'm going to bring in my panel right now to talk about this because I dare say the White House has not done an effective job or a good enough job communicating what the Civil Rights Division is doing. And this shows you the difference, as I always say, when it comes to voting, who's in charge, who is able to be leading the Department of Justice. It's a whole different deal when you have a Democrat involved versus a Republican. Matt Manning, civil rights attorney, joins us right now. Also, Michael Imhotep, host of the African History Network, Caleb Bethea, communication strategist. Glad to have all 3 of you here. Matt, I want to start with you. Again, as I walked through, nearly all of those was just in the past week. I don't understand why the White House isn't touting this. This is what happens when you have a strong civil rights division in the Department of Justice. What Kristen Clarke and what they are doing in the DOJ, they are letting it be known. You in one of these states, you act a fool, DOJ is going to deal with you. U.S. attorneys are going to deal with you.
Absolutely, and they need to do a better job of letting the people know what they're doing. The reason this is so important is these are criminal prosecutions of the same kinds of cases that I bring as a civil lawyer, which we know are very difficult for plaintiffs to prevail, but the law is almost exactly the same. And getting a conviction against a correctional officer or a police officer or concluding a patterns and practice investigation on an entire department is really an amazing thing, considering, one, the national zeitgeist is this conversation about civil rights, number one, but number two, how hard it is for a plaintiff to prevail in these cases if they're brought as a civil matter. So the Department of Justice is doing extraordinary work. And what's really interesting as well is a lot of those cases span the gamut of constitutional issues. They're not just excessive force issues. There are also religious issues, obviously. There are issues as it relates to juvenile justice and the safety of juvenile inmates. So they really have done great work across the board and across the United States in a difficult area to practice, but in one that they are clearly excelling. So I hope going forward, the White House makes it clear to the people just how difficult those cases are and just how good a job Ms. Clark and her team are doing.
Kelly, for instance, in the case in Oklahoma, that was one that really stood out because what you had there is, I mean, you had this, not only did this corrections officer put black inmates in a cell with white supremacists, also ordered the abuse of other inmates. That corrections officer is now about to be behind bars himself.
I mean, talk about poetic justice, right? Who knows what's going to happen to him? And not that I care, but just to piggyback off of what Matt was saying, I'm actually surprised that this is an undercover story or underground story, something that we would not have known about if it were not for your show. These are the kind of things that, frankly, Biden built his platform on in order to get black votes. And these are huge wins when it comes to the perception of protecting the black community under your administration. And the only thing we're hearing out of Biden's mouth right now is about Ukraine.
Wait, hold on. Ukraine or fund the police?
Either something that does not garner black voters, anything that does not garner black voters, right? So it's one of those things where I don't know if it's the communications team or a decision from Biden himself regarding what exactly makes the news cycle and make sure that, he gets his approval numbers up and making sure that the American people has his back for a re-election, because allegedly that's what he's vying for right now. And we're in an election year right now for, House and Senate and other local seats. I mean, this is not a good look for you to have all these wins under your belt and no one's going to notice. This is not something that people are just going to find out through osmosis or through Twitter or anything like that. You, President Biden, you have to tell us, because otherwise we are so inundated and oversaturated with information, specifically information not pertaining to us, the black community, to the point where we feel neglected by your administration because you're not even talking about the stuff that you've done for us. So it's a disservice to you as the administration. It's a disservice to us as the body that got you into the White House in the first place. So something needs to shake up there to make sure that we know exactly what's going on that actually benefits us.
It's crazy, Michael. Again, as I was going through all of these cases, and again, these are convictions. I mean, these are convictions. The consent decree in Massachusetts, I mean, that's a major deal as well. And I'm just sitting here going, if you're Jen Psaki, you're at that podium. I know Department of Justice, they have their own communications staff. Frankly, and let's just be real honest, okay? Their news conferences don't get covered the same way. They don't. Doesn't get the same level of attention. But if I'm the White House, this is what the hell I'm touting. I mean, what I just did was what they could easily do. This. I mean, I'm sitting here going through. I'm literally sitting here, again, looking at what they did, looking at the wins, and this is how you make the case, folks. You voted for Biden, you voted for Harris. This is the difference between a Biden-Harris Department of Justice and a Donald Trump, Mike Pence Department of Justice. And then what you say is, we are not going to allow people who are responsible for overseeing inmates to abuse them, to beat them, to neglect them. That is simply wrong. It's sitting right here. What the hell are they doing?
They have a poor communications team, Roland. And I was reading a lot of these, but a lot of things like this I deal with on the African History Network show, okay? And April 1st, Vice President Kamala Harris was in Greenville, Mississippi, to talk about investments in underserved populations and talk about community lenders and things like this. That got very little coverage in mainstream media. When I talked about it on my show a couple of days ago, my viewers and listeners would say they didn't know this took place, okay? And now the other thing that this shows, Roland, is the importance of responsible black media. I'm saying responsible black media for a reason, because there's a lot of I almost cussed. There's a lot of BS out there that's not responsible black media to inform our people about these things that are going on. But the Biden-Harris administration, their communications team, they really have to understand communicating these wins like this. The consent decree is important because under the Trump administration, 4 years and 2 attorney generals, there was only one consent decree, whereas under 2 terms of President Obama and his attorney generals, there's about 25 investigations into police departments, about 14, 15 consent decrees. Here you have Attorney General Merrick Garland, who started the investigations into the police departments again, patterns and practices investigations, and they've entered into a consent decree right here with Springfield, Massachusetts. So this is important. But this is one of the reasons why black-owned media and responsible black media is so important as well. But the other thing, lastly, Roland, when you are so busy doing the work, a lot of times, in good work, a lot of times you think people are paying attention, but they have to realize you're dealing with also a dumbed-down electorate as well. Yep. So you got to educate them on what's going on.
Well, again, here's the deal, okay? I see some of the press releases that come from the Department of Justice, and so you see them. But again, what people have to understand, in this city, Washington, D.C., if it ain't coming from the White House podium, frankly, they're not paying any attention to it. And so what the White House should be doing, what their strategy should be incorporating what Christian Clark, what DOJ, what Vanita Gupta, what Merrick Garland, what DOJ is doing. And now what you're doing is you're crafting a narrative. Right. You're building a narrative. You literally do just what I did. You literally stand at that podium and you say, the American people need to understand we are hard at work protecting them. Yes, we are. You can be Biden and you want to sit here and talk about funding cops, fine. But what you also have got to say, President Joe Biden, is that your DOJ is also holding cops accountable who do wrong. So Biden needs to be talking about this consent decree in Massachusetts. Biden needs to be talking about how this corrections officer is going to prison and this one. And he should be standing at the podium himself saying to every state in the country, if you have corrections departments that are abusing prisoners and you have wrongdoing going on, my Department of Justice is going to investigate. We are going to indict. We're going to prosecute, and we're going to put you in jail. Every American, whether they're sitting in jail or not, deserves their civil rights. That's how you make an emphatic statement, and you got the wins to back it up, Matt. That's the other deal. This is not you just making a statement and you don't actually have it. You have the wins to back it up. They have to create the narrative so the public is like, wow, those things are happening? I had no idea.
Yep, and this is the national conversation right now. So I don't understand how they aren't leveraging it. This is what, I mean, every show that we come on, every Friday, we talk about another person who was shot and killed by a police officer. So I think it's derelict not to address it, particularly when you're winning cases, when you have a team of lawyers that are going in, climbing up, Mount Everest in some of these cases and convicting police officers, which is not always an easy thing to do. They need to be really displaying that, especially because the whole country is talking about such issues right now.
Absolutely, and it's understanding the moment. It's recentering the conversation. The George Floyd Justice Act did not get passed. Got Lindsey Graham and Tim Scott sitting here doing it. I hit the White House last week. They said they're at work, hard working, trying on these consent decrees. On these executive orders.
Executive orders, right?
Still waiting. Okay, I got it. Let me know when y'all get around to them. But again, when you're out, because remember, this is the other key, Kelly. Republicans gave Kristen Clark a lot of hell during her confirmation hearings. And this is why. This is why Republicans did not want a strong Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. When you have Republican presidents, the weakest department in DOJ is the Civil Rights Division. They don't care. And literally, Jeff Sessions and Bill Barr said, I mean, we got video of Bill Sessions saying we're going to pull back on consent decrees because, ooh, it's hurting the feelings of it's hurting the morale of so many cops.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. But what makes even less sense is, you know, just to echo the sentiments of everybody on the panel, but to add another layer to this, Biden spent his entire campaign basically touting the notion that he is going to craft a cabinet that looks like this country, that includes Black women, white women, Hispanics, Asians, what have you. And you finally have it, and you're not leveraging it to your benefit to make sure that we know what you're doing. Like you said, this is one of the best records for the DOJ Civil Rights Division, and we know nothing about it. And not to
and Kelly, I'm gonna let you finish. I didn't recite the last 15 months.
Mm-hmm.
I recited the last 2 weeks.
Exactly. And that's my point. And not to read too much into it, but it feels like one of those situations in which you expect Black women to excel, and therefore you're not going to brag about it, so to speak. You're not going to promote said excellence. You are going to simply expect it and to do a more, expect her to do above and beyond even the excellence that she is doing. And I feel like that is a reflection on how Black women in the workplace have been treated by white men. You expect us to excel. You expect us to basically receive half the resources and then produce 3 times the product. And that's exactly what Clark has been doing for the past 15 months, let alone the last 2 weeks. Like you said, I can't think of a time where someone did this much in 2 weeks in the DOJ.
Yeah,
I mean, can you?
And Michael, it's not just Kristen Clark. It's a bunch of lawyers. Don't nobody know their names. They are career lawyers. It's not just DOJ lawyers. It's U.S. attorneys around the country. That Massachusetts consent decree, that U.S. attorney there, that's the Black woman who was the DA in Boston.
Right.
See again, Biden White House, your approval ratings are down. Mm-hmm. You need Black people. I'm just saying.
But he's doing it to all the Black women in his cabinet. Like, we don't hear anything about HUD. I'm sure they're doing great.
Well, first of all, this week, I mean, right, Secretary Marsha Fudge, she hired an equity czar, touting that. I'm just, the thing here is, it's called narrative. It's called establishing and building a narrative. And it's saying, you voted for us to do this. We are doing what we said we were going to do. And I'm just simply saying they should be touting. And here's what happened, yes. Michaels. And we've streamed the videos, okay? Kristen Clark, Vanita Gupta, Merrick Garland, they go down to Capitol Hill. Ain't nobody watching those hearings. Mm-hmm. They're not watching those hearings. I mean, we've streamed them. Like, look, yesterday, okay? I'm going to check right now. The White House had a session on equity. All right, and we're gonna talk about that in a second, but I'm just gonna check right now. Let me just see, okay, video, let's see here. Okay, all right, let's see here. All right, I'm looking for okay, perfect example. The White House had White House convening on equity. Y'all, I just wanna put this in perspective, y'all. The White House has 1.95 million subscribers.
Whitehouse.gov on White House on.
No. White House YouTube channel.
Right, exactly.
You're right. White House 1.95 million. Mm-hmm. They had 2,700 views for 2,700 for their equity session. 2,700 views. I'm looking here, and I know we did it as well. I'm looking here. Keenan, let me know, because I know I said to stream it. I know we did it. So I'm looking on here. I just want to be curious to see Keenan, send me in group me, send me or text how many views we had. But the point I'm making here is they're not watching hearings. You have to utilize the bully pulpit. You have to do that when you're there speaking on about these very issues. I just don't understand why they are not creating the narrative. That makes no sense to me. You got wins.
Roland. So I'm on the White House's YouTube channel every day, and some of the segments, especially when Vice President Kamala Harris is speaking and things like this, I'll show that on my show, because that information is not getting to our people. Okay, she just did. Reese Colbert just wrote an article for EUR Web dealing with Vice President Kamala Harris's Black Maternal Health summit or conference that she just had. Okay, I didn't see that on MSNBC. Okay, I've seen very little about that, except for I follow Black Women Views on Instagram, and I saw Reese's post about her article. When you look at what the White House just released yesterday on their actions on racial equity, I did not see that on MSNBC yesterday. Okay,
hell no.
So there's a huge problem with they're doing a lot of good work. It's not being messaged so that people know it, especially African Americans know it. So they need to bring more people on Roland Martin Unfiltered. They need to hire some social media experts, especially African American social media experts, to get this information to our people. If you got to do TikTok videos, well, do TikTok videos. I follow Vice President Kamala Harris on Instagram, VP on Instagram. She'll put short videos and disseminate some of this information there, but this is not getting out like it should.
Well, in fact, I literally just literally just got an email from Olivia Roberts with the Department of Justice. Every week they send out, I get an email, which is a recap. Matt, here's one that, again, I'm just saying you might want to tell, especially Black people, on Wednesday. Go to my iPad. On Wednesday, the Justice Department announced that it has reached an agreement to settle claims in 4 civil cases arising from the June 1st, 2020 law enforcement response to racial justice demonstrations in Lafayette Square in Washington, D.C. As part of the settlement, the United States Park Police and the United States Secret Service agreed to update and clarify their policies governing demonstrations and to implement the policy changes within 30 days of today's settlement. Within the 30 days, the Secret Service will amend its policies to provide that the fact that some demonstrators have engaged in unlawful conduct does not ordinarily provide blanket grounds for use of force, crowd dispersal, or declaration of unlawfully assembly. Okay, that's a big deal. We saw in 2020 when Donald Trump, that thug in chief, ordered federal law enforcement to clear people out of the way so he can go stand in front of the church with the Bible upside down. This is a major deal. Okay, now, somebody might say, well, you should be playing politics. Well, if I'm the Biden White House, I'm taking a hit against Trump and his thugs and saying, this is what we put in place. I'm just saying. And again, I appreciate the email. Thank you very much, Olivia, for sending me the email. But from a narrative standpoint, this is the thing that and all of a sudden, folks go, wow, I didn't realize that. Biden is checking law enforcement, saying, y'all can't just do whatever you want to do. And what you're also doing, you're checking Trump in the process. But if nobody ever knows when a tree falls in the forest, who the hell heard it?
But isn't that part of the hustle, Roland? Is that they're also trying to dial back that defund narrative, that they're concerned about, I guess, losing moderates and other people in this upcoming election. So maybe they're not promoting it because they want to try to toe the line between actually having civil rights wins, but not angering law enforcement and people who are law enforcement aligned.
Well, that's dumb. That's dumb. Because here's the deal. If you only fund the police, you're pissing off the folks who are in the streets. But if you champion your resources, but you also say we're holding them accountable, what you're really saying to everybody is, Well, like my philosophy, if you do good, I'll talk about you. If you do bad, I'll talk about you. At the end of the day, I'll talk about you. You're actually appealing to both groups there. And so it's just, again, it's understanding how to talk to people, how to communicate to people. And I'm just simply saying, hey, you're in the White House, okay? Ron Klain, Chief of Staff?
Yeah.
Susan Rice? Cedric, Jen Psaki, Kareem, I can go down the line.
Right.
Y'all should be, this ain't hard. Like, it took me 60 seconds to go, hey, this is last night, tomorrow's show. We're gonna do a whole segment on the wins of the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division this week. Jen Psaki could do the exact same thing from the podium. And you know what you then do? To further heighten it, you invite Kristen Clark down to the White House and have her speak from the podium for 5 to 8 minutes and take a few questions. What you do is you center the conversation, and then when you center the conversation, it's now gonna get picked up by other mainstream media about how, and it's gonna show the contrast, because see, again, there are stories that come out of that go beyond just your news conference. So the whole point is you're showing the contrast between a Biden-Harris DOJ and a Trump-Pence DOJ.
Right.
And then what you're saying is to the voters, this is why you voted for us versus these folks. You don't simply allow it in press releases. No, you amplify it, you elevate it. And if I looked, I guarantee you, I probably haven't seen any tweets, any post, any of this stuff on the POTUS account, on the Biden account, on the VP account, on the Kamala Harris account. Y'all, this ain't hard. And you don't have to do it every single day. But when you, first rule of politics, and you know what? He's an asshole. He's a liar. He's an evil son of a bitch. But you know what? That fool Donald Trump took credit for every damn thing. Hey, Biden-Harris, learn to take credit. When you have a victory, run a victory lap. You know when somebody win a race at the Olympics, they don't go, and they go sit down. Hell no, they go run to the stand, get their flag, put it behind them, and they run around the stadium, and they soak in the adulate. That's what you have to do. And if you do more of that, then maybe your poll number's not in the low 30s or the 40s.
Right. Because
now you're telling people, in fact, on that particular point, yesterday, okay, Biden yesterday goes to North Carolina A&T, and he gives a speech talking about equity. And I saw some of these, I mean, this is tied to what I'm talking about with the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. And I see all these people, talking about some students. If he ain't coming here saying he's getting rid of student debt, then he don't need to be here. First of all, $20 billion in student debt that's been canceled by Biden-Harris. Yeah. Now, Kelly, somebody out there might say, yeah, but should be more. But let's not act like 20 billion ain't nothing. That's first. I broke down the numbers of HBCU funding. There are only 4 other colleges that got more federal money in the last 2 years than North Carolina A&T. Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Florida A&M, and Texas Southern University. North Carolina A&T got $188 million in federal funding. I'm just saying, A&T students, I don't know what the hell y'all bitching about. But, here's the question. Did Biden tell them what they done for North Carolina A&T?
Exactly.
See,
That was exactly what I was going to say.
You can't just think everybody know.
Right.
Kelly, go ahead.
Oh.
No, I mean, but how would they know? How would they know if no one tells them? I mean, think about how you moved as a college student. How did you even get your information? A lot of it for me was still word of mouth. It didn't matter that you had social media and this, that, and the third, and the TV in your room or whatever. You get the most important information on the yard, no matter where, what kind of org you're in or whatever, or no org. I wasn't in org, but like you're on the yard. And if no one tells you anything while you're out and about flourishing as a college student, you're not going to hear about it. And it's also shocking to me that Biden was there and the university didn't even say anything. Did the university know about this stuff?
Well,
because
they know about it.
They did.
But
surely they did. That's my point. Like, surely the university knew that they got funding from the Biden administration. And before the Biden administration arrives on campus, they didn't, give a memo to the students saying, hey, be on your best behavior because we got this money. You know what I'm saying? Like, you prepare your students as well. So it's a miscommunication on several levels, but it starts at the top. The fact that the Biden administration has not been touting their victories as well as they should be, if at all, is a problem. We can talk about how NCAT didn't say anything to the students, but on the macro level, the Biden administration's communications team just kind of sucks when it comes to touting victories. You have no problem talking about all the problems you got, which is low-key why your approval ratings are so low, because we feel like all you got are problems and no successes. So, and then on top of that, the voting block that actually got you into the White House, you're not touting the successes regarding the block that got you into the White House. So we feel not only like you're failing, but that we were failed. That's a problem. That can be fixed with a good communication strategy. You just got to draft it. You got to do it.
Indeed, and that's the whole deal, Michael. In fact, I'm trying to look right now. I'm trying to look for a written copy of his speech. We streamed the video,
Right.
but
White House.gov.
Michael, really, you want me to cuss you out? Really?
Well, I don't have the connections you do, Roland. That's why I go to
Really?
transfer.
Really? You don't think that's the first damn site?
I'm just asking, Roland.
Look, I'm not a Sigma.
I'm just asking.
See, I knew he was going there.
I'm not a Sigma. Obviously, that's the first damn place I checked.
Okay, I'm just asking. You may have been going through your emails.
No. First of all, Michael, let me help you out. First, I checked the emails to see if there was a transcript of his speech. Second,
Right.
I then went to whitehouse.gov, and then I went to a third source. It ain't there, and now I'm emailing somebody from the White House. You better go ahead and make your comment, Michael.
So one of the things I know.
Mike better leave me alone.
I'm not Roland. I'm trying to help you.
You ain't trying. What's wrong with you, Sigmas?
Well, one of the things I noticed is like on the White House's YouTube channel, there's a delay in getting some of those videos up also. Some they'll stream live, and like Jen Psaki's press conference, White House did.
Well, his A&T speech is up because we streamed it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we streamed on the Black Star Network.
Okay, but I do notice, especially like with Vice President Kamala Harris, things that they're not broadcasting live of her. I noticed there's a delay in getting those videos up. But very quickly here, with the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, I think it's important to understand, and this is not me saying this is Senator Cory Booker, it spends millions of dollars more or allocates millions of dollars more to police, but it does it in a responsible way. This is what Senator Cory Booker said about the bill, and he helped write the bill. So the whole thing about one of the problems is, I think, with Biden talking about funding the police, he needs to be more specific about what it is that you're funding, because that's the same thing that the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act does, but it holds police accountable. But also the Fraternal Order Police championed the bill and they agree with it, and the International Association of Police Chiefs, they were behind the bill and they supported the bill as well. And they said, and they both said in the joint statement, it did not defund the police. It supported the police even more, but it worked all the way around. It supported communities. It supported police as well. So I think this would be a good time to relaunch that again in the Senate and try to get that pushed through. It already passed the House 220 to 212, March 3rd, 2021. No Republicans voted for the bill. The one Republican that voted for the bill put out a tweet, said he made a mistake and he was going to take back his vote because he wasn't trying to vote for the bill. The only people that voted for that bill were Democrats.
I found the text, but
I'm looking at the text right now, and I'm so pissed off reading it. Because let me just.
Where you at, C-SPAN?
No.
Don't insult Roland's intelligence like that.
I need everybody listening to me to understand, and I'm gonna show y'all in a minute why. You know,
I get frustrated too.
You know, when then Senator Kamala Harris went to the debate at Texas Southern University in Houston, someone asked me, what should she do when she went to open up to she's an HBCU graduate, Howard University, to set the stage. This is what I said. This rolling. This just rolling. I said, if I was Senator Kamala Harris and they introduced me, and I would say, first and foremost, this bison is happy to be back in the midst of tigers. One, you establish it off the top. I'm the only one up here on the stage who's an HBCU graduate, and we're on an HBCU. Then I would have said, before I give my opening comments, I would be remiss if I did not pay homage to two of the greatest members of Congress in American history who are proud graduates of this institution. America is thankful for the service of the late Congresswoman Barbara Jordan and Mickey Leland. The room would have erupted. You would have controlled the room from the jump. She didn't do that. Y'all go look at the video. She said, glad to be here, and she launched right in her comments. I was like, I don't understand what that was all about. But I want everybody watching, I want everybody listening to me, because I want to show you something. I want to show you something. I want to show you a missed moment that happens a lot that people don't understand. Y'all, I give lots of speeches, and I'm always cognizant of something specific that serves as something that's enticing to the audience. Specificity is always important. So this is the speech. And President Biden, he's talking about how impressive the campus is. It's good to be here at A&T. He's talking about, he mentions the mayor. He mentions Congressman G.K. Butterfield. He mentions Congresswoman Alma Adams. Talks about her hard work for HBCUs. He mentions Governor Roy Cook. He goes through and he's talking about all of this. He's talking about the vice president being a Howard graduate. He's talking about Cedric Richmond being a Morehouse man. He's talking about, he always got to throw in Delaware State being an HBCU. He talks about, again, Delaware has the 8th largest black population in America. He talks about the members of his cabinet, the first black man to run the EPA, Michael Regan. He's a North Carolina A&T graduate. He's a proud Aggie. Now keep going. Y'all see him? A&T, more than 180 years of excellence. Your chancellor, professors doing great. Then he goes into how he reestablished the president's board of advisors on HBCUs. Has 2 North Carolina A&T alums on it. Applause. Great. Mentions that, he mentions Chris Paul being on the committee. Great. Okay. Now watch this, y'all. Right here. This is where somebody on the White House staff, how in the hell you didn't see this? And speaking of funding, we were able to deliver more than $5 billion last year to HBCUs and more to come this year, $5 billion. They said we couldn't do it, but everybody has realized what an incredible asset the HBCUs are. He goes on to talk about increased Pell Grants to help millions of black students in lower income families attend community colleges and 4-year schools. Then he's going on talking about, I'm here today to talk about my plan to create and expand HBCU programs. Y'all, listen to me. If you are talking at North Carolina, come on, move, thank you. Y'all slow the camera. If you are talking to North Carolina A&T and you are talking about HBCU funding and you say how we have delivered $5 billion to HBCUs, don't you think somewhere in there you might want to say how much you sent to A&T?
Yes. Yep.
Michael, why?
I'm just saying. Y'all, I got the doggone spreadsheet. If you gonna stand there, see, this is how you shut down your critics. You shut down your critics who always running their mouths when you're able to provide. See, and I know some of y'all saying, yo, Roland, it ain't that big of a deal. It is. Because what you're doing is you're showing, you're not talking in general. See, let me tell y'all when you're giving a speech. If I gave money to Matt's school, Michael's school, but I ain't give money to Kelly's school. Well, if I was talking to Matt, Michael, and Kelly, I'm gonna say, boy, look how I supported colleges and universities. Now, I know I ain't giving money to Kelly's school, so I ain't gonna say, well, I gave money to Matt's school and Michael's school, and then Kelly be like, well, shit, he ain't give my school no money. So I'm gonna be general. But if I've given money to Matt, Michael, and Kelly, well, guess what? I'm gonna be specific, especially if I'm at Kelly's school. Y'all, this right here is the spreadsheet of funding. See North Carolina A&T? $14.1 million, $28.1 million, $22.8 million, $30.3 million, $40 million, $53 million, a total. North Carolina A&T received a total of $188,594,676. Y'all, how you not say that at A&T? I know some of y'all say, yo, man, that's a small deal. But no, because I saw the tweets from A&T students who were like, he ain't done nothing for A&T, or he hasn't got rid of our student loan debt. I can checkmate your ass when I say, you got this, you got this, you got this. This is y'all where basic messaging. This is where somebody who understands how effective messaging is can say, add this line to the president's speech. Don't just say we gave $5 billion. First of all, this is how you do it. This is how much A&T has gotten. Boom. Y'all, I can look at the list right here. Winston-Salem State, guess what? They got 81 million. You mention it. That's how you do it. So you first say, we have given $5 billion to HBCUs in this year alone. A&T, y'all have gotten this. Yeah, that's what you, Biden, you turn to Oprah. You get a car, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. You don't go general, you go specific. And so now everybody in North Carolina goes, well, damn, hold up. Wait a minute. Winston-Salem State, they got 81 million. A&T got 188. That's 2 schools right there, y'all. That's $264 million. Let me see here. Who else is in North Carolina? Are there like 5 HBCUs in North Carolina?
You got Fayetteville.
Yeah, I know you got Shaw. Okay, let's go to Shaw. Let's go to Shaw. Hold up. Shaw got 44 million. So we'll do the math. So 188, 81, 44. So now we already up to almost 300 million. Who else in North Carolina? Is it like 5?
Isn't Johnson C.
North Carolina
Smith in
Central
North Carolina?
Johnson, somebody said Johnson C. Smith. Hold up, St. Augustine's is in North Carolina. St. Augustine's got 34 million. See, so now we over 300 million. We had almost 330 million, all right? Let's see, North Carolina Central, all right. They got 126 million. Y'all, HBCUs in North Carolina damn near got $500 million. How you not say it? One of y'all close this out before I go to break.
Hey, you have to claim your wins. This is what you have to do, because all the negativity is going to come your way. Everything negative that happens. So when you have victories like this, you have to claim it. You have to run on it. President Barack Obama, a couple of weeks ago, he said, when he was asked, what do Democrats have to do to win the midterm elections? He said, you have to tell your story. You gotta run on you don't talk about what you didn't get accomplished. You run on what you got accomplished. Most people can't name 5 things and Build Back Better. Run on what you got accomplished. Run on this stuff, the Department of Justice. Run on the racial equity. Run on $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, and no Republicans in the House or Senate voted for the bill. Run on $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. Run on Emmett Till anti-lynching bill, and they've been trying to get that passed since 1900. Claim your wins and run on what you did, not what you did not get accomplished.
I don't understand. Let me just go to a break. No, it really pisses me off.
It'll be all right.
No, it pisses me off because the mistake that people make, to what you said earlier, Kelly, they think people already know. They don't know. 80 to 90% of your job as president is actually building narrative.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't. No, it's actually explaining stuff. That's what it is. Obama did that crap. Oh, we assume people knew. What the hell wrong with you? No, they don't. Why you think Trump took credit for a lot of stuff? Donald Trump lied so much, he took credit for a veterans bill that Obama passed, and his dumbass supporters thought he did.
No, you're absolutely right. And just to bring it home, like you said, we are now in an era of communications, and specifically politics, in which politicians and the communications teams that support them cannot afford to take for granted the knowledge of the American people. Meaning, we have spent over almost a decade at this point being lied to on some form of level by our government. And we are now so jaded that unless you beat it into us by way of oversaturating the market with your good news, we are not going to believe it. And we're not going to regard it. So I don't know what the scheme or the plan is, but you have to really put it in people's faces that you're making a win. You have wins under your belt, that you're not a failure. You're not losing anything. You actually are doing more good than harm to the American people, but the American people don't know it because what's in the market right now? Everything that you're not doing. And that's the problem, because you think that resting on your laurels and just doing the work is enough. It's not. You got to do the work and then proclaim you're doing the work and then proclaim it again and then proclaim it again, until that narrative of you not doing anything is replaced by what you guys have done. And that's not what's happened yet. And that's why approval ratings are so low.
Hey, let me tell you something. When somebody tells me, Roland, you ain't done this, and I know I have, I name check their ass until I knock all the air out their damn body. Then I'm going to pound them in their chest again. You hit them with the facts. All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?